And so I have the unique experience of coaching an NACL and then coaching an EMEA Masters. So I think from my experience, I can say that Lost Ratones would be a top 3 team. I think they would beat Near Airport. I think they would struggle into Luminosity, and I think they would get 3-1 by DarkZero.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Salt Mine. This is Season 5, Episode 3, fresh off of week number 2 of the NACL. My name's Gordo. I am joined by regulars Quax and TDS, and special guest Coach Boc off of Conviction. Boc, welcome aboard. So happy to have you.
I feel so welcome here, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
There you go. Well, good. Glad we could get another NACL coach on board and not scare them away, at least pre-recording. Want to start off here with a little bit about you. So your wiki is a little limited, at least compared to your actual resume here. The wiki's only got your you coached in Tier 2 of the Portuguese League. And you were on Supernova Dark Matter for ACL, and then it's got Conviction. But I see some Cloud9 and some other stuff on your resume. So, you mind sharing with everybody a little bit of like what your background is and how you got here?
Oh man, dude, you just asked for my whole life story real quick.
Yeah,
So
just a quick one.
Back ye old COVID times, Cloud9 did a program called Cloud9 Training Grounds. And I was hired on as a League of Legends coach for Cloud9 Training Grounds, along with maybe a couple of dozen other coaches. And I worked with that program for about 2 years and got promoted up the ranks to eventually I was the coaching manager for that program and then the operations manager. So I was a Cloud9 Boc at cloud9.gg email address, all that fun stuff. Not an LCS coach for Cloud9, so I want to make that distinction with Cloud9 Training Grounds, but that experience was super revelatory for my journey as a coach because I was able to work alongside a bunch of other super qualified people who were also in LCS, like or NACL, like ZZ Legendary, who was with like EG, like Kyuki, who was an analyst with like DSG and Golden Guardians, Zaga, who I think was also with those same two orgs, and it's like a whole bunch of other cool people. And then, you said a whole bunch of other things about Conviction, Portugal, and ACL, so I don't want to spill the beans too soon. But yeah, I'm an open book. That's kind of how I got the Cloud9 in my bio.
Quax, you keep looking like you're about to talk. I'm letting Quax.
Oh, well, no, I mean, I think that's really, really cool. But I guess kind of, I have a bit of a question about like what gravitated you kind of guys to Conviction, right? Because obviously, I want to kind of talk about the process, and you don't have to go too deep, but like obviously during the open qualifiers, Conviction was known as Tempest, and then quickly after, you guys kind of. So, what has been kind of the big difference between having that backing of Conviction versus Tempest, right? Or being in the OQ environment versus being in the Tier 2 environment?
Oh man. Okay, so that's a couple different questions here, and excuse my PR answer here for a second because I feel like out of respect for Tempest, I don't want to spill like the beans here, but Tempest tried their absolute hardest to support us through the OQs. That turned out to not be possible when we found that we were going to be promoting to NACL. So they helped us. They actually introduced us to Conviction and said, "Hey, this is an org that's going to take good care of you guys. Here, like we vouch for them, we trust them." And there was a whole lot of transparency in the process between Tempest and Conviction to make sure my players got like the best contracts they could possibly get with all the amendments they needed. There was no predatory language. We all made sure that everything looked golden. And then like the org owner was very Nano was very also transparent in, hey, like we want you guys here, we want you to feel comfortable. So it was a clean transition. It made the most sense because when you have a dream in OQs, it's like you can kind of go in there with nothing but dreams, but when it's NACL time, it's big boy time, and you kind of gotta be ready to throw down some serious cash and some serious time and some serious investment because you could be going into LTA at the end of this year, So that's kind of how we ended up at Conviction, though.
That's good stuff. That's a real feels good too and stuff for it's a little it's a little bit of an open secret at this
What? You're
point.
telling me there's an org that actually cares about the players and giving them good contracts and their livelihood and their time and good salaries and doesn't want to screw
Wait,
them
wait,
over?
wait, wait.
Yeah.
We never said good salaries or good we heard good. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Transparent, I guess.
I was gonna say
There you
no
go.
hate to Conviction, but I'm gonna give it a couple of
But,
splits
yeah.
before they're my favorite
I mean,
org.
I do well, okay, but I feel like at the end of the day, like transparency is like the most valuable
Of
thing
course.
to have in a
Yeah.
space like this, and it's good to hear that Conviction has that, and Tempest too, right? I mean, like they introduced you guys to Conviction after knowing that the support wouldn't really be there, or wouldn't be possible from them. So that's really cool, and that, like Gordo said, is definitely like the definition of heartwarming.
For sure, and like
Yeah.
then the players get their deals. They get to participate, under real
Yeah.
contracts. And I know Nano and Conviction were kind of trying to get into the space already. They were, they had been in talks with a
Yeah.
couple of other sets of players, a couple of other teams about trying to get a spot in NACL. So it's cool that worked out for the best for everybody, based on what was going on. So happy to have
Shit, you know more than me then.
What was
Yeah.
that, Buck?
You know more than me then. I didn't know that they were in talks. I feel kind of like a second option now.
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm
I
just
mean-
fucking with you.
Killing the dream.
Yeah.
I mean, there's.
I was gonna ask actually because I was kind of curious about this as well. So obviously Tempest did qualify into the NACL and everything like worked out in that sense. But did you have like if Tempest didn't qualify, were you on the looks or were teams like on the looks for you or your players for NACL? Like, or is that confidential to like share? Because I think it would be interested to have seen you in another team, not Conviction.
Hell no, dude. Like once again, like everyone wants to be a part of OQs. No one wants to pony up like hundreds of dollars a month for a roster in NACL when don't even get me. Actually, shit, can I even say this? I think Blue Water got fined for their tweet about the TOs. I'm not gonna like talk
Yeah.
shit, but
I believe that.
let's just say like there's not a lot of financial incentive to be in NACL. It's kind of like you got to have that
Yeah.
income already,
say that
and then
again.
just. But anyways, I digress.
I did see it, like I'm not sure like how much of it is true. I just saw the tweet of Iron working like
I
part-time and like
think
don't
that's
know who
real.
it
I
was.
think Aaron's got a real
Yeah, I don't know
job,
who it
right?
was. Like someone like taking the photo of Iron like behind working, and someone like bring me my coffee quick, Iron, or something like that. I don't remember who was it exactly. Just find it like kind of funny and at the same time realistic.
Show some respect, by the way. That's my boy Aaron. He goes by Chrome now, so
does.
show,
Yeah,
show some
Chrome.
respect to that. He's a boba shop employee. He knows all about that tiger milk tea. He knows all about that lifestyle. He says he's hustling here, so
That's good. That suits him
Hey, it's working out.
for sure. And yeah, we do have
Both
to we
in
do have
and
to
out
get
of
better
game.
about using the Chrome name. We've called this out before.
Yeah.
It's good to see
Yeah,
a
yeah,
player.
we're getting better about it.
It's good to see a
Um,
player swap from the real name to edgy esports name. We got too much of the opposite in this scene these days. Too many tricksters becoming Wilsons, not enough Aarons becoming Chrome.
Yeah. There you
Or
go. Bring back the
incarnations becoming
magic.
Jensen's, yeah.
Absolutely.
So I guess kind of going a little bit more narrow, not necessarily as broad with Conviction as an org, but Conviction with its players. I wanted to ask about some of the players because obviously you guys kind of came into the league. You're one of the teams that promoted, and you guys are stock full of players, not just who have played in Tier 2 before, but also like newcomers, right? Like a lot of people had their doubts about your team because of like some of
Wow.
the more X Factor-esque players, such as like Hoarder. But Hoarder, I mean, this is an understatement, but he's risen to the fucking occasion. So I just kind of wanted to ask you about your experiences so far with the team. Like, how does do you think like the dynamic is really like friendly, or how do you feel like just the environment is as a whole? Because you guys seem like a super fun team. You've got players like Darkwings and Aaron who are giant memers. You were just calling or Chrome rather. See, I'm still adjusting to it. Who are like you said, he's the boba master. So yeah, I just want to kind of get like how is the environment overall there at the team?
This is a tough question because they, like, to give you a little bit of context, is they had the roster already, and Manui reached out to me and said, "Hey, Boc, we are looking for a coach. Would you like to coach?" So it was like a unorthodox team
Oh.
environment compared to like I love to run the tryouts. I love to because I'm a big deal of like a team culture type person. I like to make sure that everyone's values are aligned, and it's not tough, but it's more difficult to do that when you are coming in after the roster's already formed and the players are like, hey, I want to play with these players and we're kind of here already. So one, I just want to say I've been really grateful and thankful that the roster that I came into was one of people who actually enjoy being here, because as you said, there were some X factors. You know, like I have nothing but good things to say about every single player on our roster. And I'm not going to put the bad stuff out there, but let's just say like we've got a couple little shitheads on our roster, and these guys like to get a little moody sometimes, and they like to get in their own heads. And I don't fault them for it, because at the end of the day, playing League of Legends is not the end goal in your life. This is going to be some sort of personal development for you as a person. And if everything is always good all the time for everything you do, you're not going to learn. So great learning opportunities here. My biggest thing is I want them to feel comfortable fucking shit up or being depressed or getting pissed off. And that's okay. So as long as we can do that and bounce back from it. And so far that's been great, because you spoke of the haters and the naysayers. I think we got a couple in the call right now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
But
where's your cutoff for a hater and naysayer? Is it below top 6?
Anyone. And anyone who no. Even back in OQs were like, okay, no, I think it was Hawk. Maybe it was Hawk who was like, these guys stink or whatever. When we lost to Dog fans, like that was our moment where we're like,
I
shit.
knew that shit was like a one-off. I was like, this is just like what happens in like these just gigantic amalgamatory tournaments where you have so many teams and like the possibilities are always there to drop a game or drop a series.
100% with like 100%. But like that's the type of shit where a different team or a team with a different environment or different players would lose that game and then just mental annihilate, and they're done. They're toasted. So
YBN1
happened. Yeah, it kind of quotation marks happened down there in the lower brackets.
Teams.
I'm sure that happened to multiple teams, by the way. The YBN1 story is
like
funny
3.
to me because I saw that roster preseason and I was like,
I was thinking
these
Citadel,
guys
but
lose
yeah, that
one
makes
game,
sense.
it's over.
I don't know if Citadel imploded, because Citadel...
I wouldn't call it imploded. I do think that they certainly didn't expect that to happen to them, and that clearly played a factor into them being eliminated.
So,
I 100% believe that.
Yeah,
Hell
but
no.
I do want to ask though about
That's
like
true.
one specific player, Boc, that
Yeah.
a lot of people have been talking about, and that's Manui, right? So like Manui, obviously 80 carry before doing this. Like a lot of people, you know, were really liked Manui at the ADC role. He was like known for playing like a bunch of unorthodox shit. And I'm just kind of interested to hear kind of about like how Chrome and Manui bounce off of each other, because obviously whenever you have a player who is constantly interacting with the starter for the role that he lane swapped away from, it is bound to, I think, create an interesting dynamic. And most of the time, I actually think it's really cool to hear about. So like, would you say that like Manui going into the support role and kind of having that recent experience being like a tier 2 AD carry has helped Chrome improve, and like the rest of you have allowed Manui to grow, and like how that's kind of all worked out?
Shit. I have a lot of respect for Manui as a player. So how do I want to phrase this question? Has he helped Aaron specifically grow in the AD carrier role?
Yeah, just as like
I'm
a
not
second opinion.
sure. I think that what Manui has helped the team do is he's kind of like stood in as almost like an assistant coach, because he is a really smart dude about the game. He puts in the most work out of, well, I'm not going to say out of everyone else because I don't know like exactly what everyone does, but he always shows up prepared. He watches all the VODs. So he comes to practices, to games, to reviews. Like, I want to try this. I want to do this. So he's like the brains of the team. And then like, I would say like he combines with Aaron, because Aaron is like the heart of the team. He's the guy who's like, you know, like not bringing everyone's mood up, because it's not like we're all like Eeyore and depressed in the middle of game and stuff, but like he's, yeah, so like he combines like with Manui Voltron style to create like a fully functional player, you know? And it's really cool to see, because if we didn't have that Manui, I feel like we'd be a little bit more lost in game. And then if we didn't have that person to bring us up, then it's like all brains, no heart. So they do a good job together.
That's really cool to hear, actually. That's wholesome as shit. Yep. Boc, you're like wholesome as hell here with the mood. We're usually super critical here on the salt mine.
We'll talk about other teams later on.
We can get into that
yeah,
later.
Yeah, I
That's
know,
fine.
but it's heartwarming to hear about the team, because it really does seem like your guys' heads are in the game, and you each have like a role, I suppose, in and out of games. So that's really comforting to hear about.
Yeah. It's an easy team to root for sure, and that's
Yeah.
why I do want to get a little more ammo in that gun before we move on to talking about other teams. I want to talk a little bit more about the promo tournament for you guys in general. You mentioned earlier, the loss to Dog fans, how you guys were, another team might have crumbled. So what was kind of the journey of Double Elim promo tournament like for you guys? Like coming in, what were your expectations, and how do things change when you end up dropping a series and having to reset for lower bracket?
Oh man, so like going into this, it was like we were scrimming maybe like 3 times a week, so not a ton, but not nothing. Which is, and we were doing it for about like a month and a half before OQs actually started, because we weren't sure when they were going to start. And we were just crushing. We were crushing everybody. We were scrimming previous NACL teams, like destroying them, dismantling them. Like some top collegiate teams, all these other OQ teams were like, dude, we're just not even going to scrim OQ teams anymore because they aren't good enough. Like we're just gapping them, astro gapping. And then, so like we went into this OQ thinking, yeah, we're not even gonna drop a game.
Yeah, you had Kisno right after Korean boot camp, right?
Dude.
Yeah, players
Kisno's
come
crap,
back
dude.
like.
Did Kisno get rank 1, or was it?
2.
It was
close,
top.
right?
Yeah,
2.
it was
2.
top 5. I know. Yeah, but no,
'Cause I
players
know
come back
Mike-
from
I-
Korea like
It should have been 1.
Yeah.
I've heard from people that like Korea solo queue, like the top 10 in particular, is like impossible. Yeah. Sorry.
Don't ask Draxer what he thinks of Kisno, but I also have Kisno's like he's a grinder. He grinds the game more than anyone else on the team, and he cares a lot. So he also gets like some positional coaching as well on the side, and just shows up to practice. He's not the most vocal, but I love Kisno. Big on Kisno. But back to your question about the OQs. So we go in here thinking we're gonna not drop a single game. And then we find out, okay, well, shit, we have to play with a sub for week 1. Like, shout out Daption, like my goat, actually. Like, really good player. Saved our asses. Great for team environment as well. Like, super friendly guy. And then Aaron comes in, who I think, I think Aaron is, like, obviously, like, an extremely skilled player because he's, like, the starter. And then we just completely shit the bed. I don't know what happened. Someone's chakras were misaligned or whatever. And it was like, I don't know, that scene in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood where Hawkeye dies or whatever. Not Hawkeye, what's his name? Hughes dies, right? And everyone's sad at the funeral, and everyone's like, no one knows like what to do. So we kind of just had to bust some ass and be like, hey, this is like a wake-up call. This is a reality check. We are actually not as good as we thought we are. We are not T1 at Worlds Finals. We are NAOQ team. We can fuck up. We can lose to... I still think to this day, like, call it cope. Dog fans is a worse team than we are, but they beat us on the day, and that is what matters in these OQ tournaments. So
yeah, that's just like the format, in my opinion. Like that's what I said immediately after I heard about it. I was like, dude, that shit just like happens, right? I was like, yeah,
Honestly,
people were
even
like
if it wasn't the
overreacting,
format-
being like, holy shit, Tempest are like more fraudulent than Epstein, and I'm like, no, they're not.
Dude.
They've got this.
Okay.
It does. Let's keep that nobody getting canceled on the show streak going, boys. But yeah, I think I probably contributed to that Hawk comment a little bit that you mentioned earlier, Boc, just because I do think there was. It almost swung too hard the other way. I think so many people agreed with Quax that it was like a lot of people are like, AMI gets, AMI versus Dog fans. It's the match for who gets 10th in NACL, and it's that's looking less and less likely by the week. But definitely a lot of room for error in the way the bracket was administered. But you guys come back and you beat Citadel in your final qualification match. That was a team that I think a lot of people thought very, very highly of, even after their loss they kind of swept the bracket up until meeting you guys in the qualification match. It also turned from a best of 5 into a best of 3, kind of at the
Yeah.
11th hour there. So
Ugh,
curious about the
Yeah.
story around that game. When we did
was
this
going
on
to
broadcast, we
PS3.
centered a lot on Hoarder, and I don't regret that. I
Mm.
think Kimmy had a great interview with him, and I think it's a great story for Hoarder in particular, as somebody who had not made it to this level before. But the full team story gets lost in that shuffle a little bit. So I'm curious as to what it was kind of like for the group, for the squad.
I mean, the second we got put into lower brackets, we're like, okay, we've got like basically a free game against St. Clair, a free game against Fisher. And then we were like wondering, like, okay, who are we going to face right before that? It was like Friendly Fellas, right?
Mhm.
I think
mhm.
they were
Yeah.
looking pretty good. We thought, never mind, I'm not going to say that out loud. But yeah, so like we weren't super worried about anyone until Citadel, and we knew it was going to be Citadel in the finals. If they beat Respawn, it was either going to be Respawn or Citadel in the finals. So going into that, we were confident we could get there. We didn't know if it was going to be the Citadel that everybody thought they would be, or the Citadel that lost in round 1 to his random team number 74 or whatever these guys are. Who did they lose to?
They lost in
The
round
16.
2, I think.
Oh, sorry. Two
but-
Friendly Fellas. The
Yeah,
team
it
that
was the
we.
Friendly
Yeah,
Fellas.
the
okay.
Friendly Fellas.
Okay, so no, that's my new narrative now. The second we beat Friendly Fellas, we're like, okay, by default, we beat Citadel because it's like an ARAM, right? Like, I beat Challenger players in
perfect
ARAM,
sense.
therefore, I deserve Challenger and solo queue.
So this means you guys are
Um,
going to lose to AMI when you play each other
No
this
comment.
season. Okay.
We'll keep it interesting. But shout out Hoarder, though. Like, what you want to know about
Actually, you
Hoarder
already
and
played
them?
AMI and you 2-0'd them, so never mind. You're good.
Oh shit!
You broke the streak.
I thought that was I thought that was the bot game warm up that they
And I
make you
will-
play for side select.
Yeah, that was the first one.
I will
Sad.
briefly
Oh.
mention though, like the Citadel versus like the Citadel versus Tempest series. Like I was hard rooting though for Tempest because like nothing against the Citadel guys, but it's like I feel like the interest around the teams like on your team, you know, Tempest, Conviction, whatever your people want to call them. I just had like more investment in them, right? Because like it feels like most of these guys are, you know, they had like a similar, I think, narrative to like Respawn, where it's like people trying to get back into tier 2, really wanting to grind it out after, you know, potentially a lackluster 2024. And so like to me that is like what I think gets people invested in tier 2, like period, right? Is like it's a developmental league. So when you have developing players, it's more interesting, right? And so that's part of the reason why I'm a partial near airport hater, a CNV
man.
lover, and I rooted for you guys over Citadel. So yeah, I'm again like I know I sound like a broken record, but just glad you guys are here. And glad you guys made it. Because yeah, one series definitely does not dictate whether or not a team is fraudulent or not. That was some bullshit that people were spouting after the whole dog fan stuff.
Hey, it's a narrative, and narratives get views and clicks and stuff.
They're
I'm not
fun,
hating.
yeah,
I'm just
bro.
I'm here to make
Yeah, they're-
fans of make everyone a Conviction fan. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I believe that, and
So what are you
luckily
gonna
I put
call
you in a
Conviction?
power ranking, and I'm going to stick with that. So
Well,
nothing
so
against you.
so hang on, but like, what would you call like fans of? Would you call like fans of Conviction like convicts or something like that?
Yeah, you see me in
Okay.
the chat. Hashtag convicts. Hashtag WinCon. You know, like there you
That's a
go.
good one.
Okay.
WinCon's
That's a good one,
Yeah.
actually. I'll start saying that during your guys' games. The
Yeah.
only time I will not root for you guys is when you guys are playing against DarkZero. But that's only because I want DarkZero in the LTA.
There's a
They
But
deserve it.
I got you
Yeah.
guys.
Well, that's our transition point right there, boys. Because yeah,
Dark
now
Zero.
time to unleash Boc a little bit here. We'll talk about teams that aren't Conviction. I do want to start off here, talk about DarkZero, Dragonsteel, Darksteel, DragonZero a little bit as they come on out. This is kind of the last of the top 3 teams. This is the one we kind of had to sort of skip over when we recorded last week because they played against who did they play against? They played against Pulse. So yeah, it was a quick win for them that everybody pretty much universally said, you can't take too much away from this. It was a quick easy game for them.
like you give the best top laner, one of the best players, the best champion on the current patch, and lo and behold,
Yeah, I mean, crazy, right? So
Yeah.
now they get to play up against another top opponent. They come in against Luminosity this week, and they take that 2-0. Let's chat about it. How good are DarkZero? How much are they the best team in the league?
I take that 2-0 with a bit of a grain of salt, because I feel like that second game, they should not have won that second game. That game felt so screwed. They were giving over like a ton of dragons. They were giving it to like Asol Gwen. And I was unless Luminosity like hard shit the bed or like throw or like tactical Malphite ults, then they're gonna win. They just outscale too hard. And then guess what? Tactical Malphite ults and they win. So
there has to be a personal vendetta there somewhere.
Dude, like that so easy. I really actually did want that series to go 3 games, but it was a tactical win. What can I say?
I do have to that one play, and one play does not define a player. So I'm not actually going to overreact this hard and like tank my boy down all the rankings and, say Luminosity sucks or anything. But oh boy, do I really I had Quax in my ear watching that game number 2. Like that is, I'm sorry, Tactical. I just can't give you.
I got DM'd by Slayer after that play, and he was like, Tactical might be a fraud. Literally, not even 10 seconds.
I'm not going to take it that far, but I get 3 Discord DMs. I just get bloop bloop bloop, and immediately I look over. Slayer is in my ear in Discord in DMs, and he's just like, you know what? Yeah,
you're right.
Let's
you already
break
got
down
3/4 of the Salt Mine believing you into tactical.
I know. Let's just break down the sequence here really quick. So Zamuda and Bessa is getting collapsed on by 3's top side. He TP's bot. They swap up the map. There's an Otacon opportunity for Luminosity. They can get Otacon for free. Zamudo's just pushing out bottom lane uncontested. It's 4v2 in mid as DarkZero is looking to take the mid outer while the Otacon goes down. Tactical, fully aware that he's 4v2 and that his entire team is either recalled or doing Otacon, just has to step up and auto those caster minions as Varus, I guess, and he throws the whole game. I just can't give you grace on this, man. You've been in the LCS for 5 years. I can't. I don't know. Boc, I'd love to hear our pro coach's opinion.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this out of the kindness of my heart. There is a reason why Immortals is no longer in the league. But no, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, genuinely. Okay, when 2 teams are both really good, the mistakes that are made are mistakes that are the little mistakes end up looking like big game losing mistakes because they are. So it magnifies what actually is. Because I guarantee you, against another team, catching those 3 caster minions would not have done a whole lot of anything.
Maybe,
maybe, but who knows, right? So all I want to say is people fuck up all the time, and it's really embarrassing.
Unpunished. Yeah,
and it goes unpunished, and you always I guarantee you, people are going to remember that. Did you guys remember how Dardox sold the bag in the most recent series with I think he tried to engage on double lift through the game. So it's this guy played in LCS before I was born, and he does shit like that.
Hey,
everybody's going to do it.
We did the math on that. It wasn't that far away.
Oh, but okay. I do think that the reason why I feel it magnifies for me is because this was after I think DarkZero made a really shitty play toward topside, because Zamudo had teleported for a flank, died. The rest of DarkZero attempted to assist him, and they all died. After the Baron was over, it gave Luminosity 3 kills, and they were already ahead with dragons. This looked like it was just set up to be a late game sweep.
If I'm remembering. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. But it's this came after DarkZero, in my mind, essentially sold the late game to a team that takes over at the late game. So it's even more egregious, in my opinion, because you had that shit in the bag. I really think.
Was this the Skarner game?
No. Or was it? I think it was the Aurelian's whole game. No.
Yeah,
sure.
I think so. No?
Oh
Because
man.
Zamudo, because tactical was Varus against Sejed's.
Yeah, then
I'll
it
get
is
scoreboards.
the Aurelion Sol game.
It was game 2. Yeah. Yeah, they were on
Got
red
it.
side. Zamudo TP's top. DarkZero tries to assist. They all die after Baron is given, and it's an Aurelion Sol and a Gwen and a Varus that have like 3 dragons at one point. So it's just like that. That to me magnifies it because you quite literally had that game, and it just
In the back.
crashed. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Apologies to everybody for that Windows noise that the recording just got. 17 lands decided to update after my computer's been on for 12 hours. So
beast
But-
mode.
I will say, pivoting
least-
away from criticism of Luminosity and praise toward DarkZero because positivity is key. Bro, Sejed on that Lucian was so fucking good. That game won by DarkZero was pretty immaculate in my opinion. And this was like as someone who kind of doubted the Lucian pick, like if you look at the comp that Lucian has to deal with as a short-ranged AD carry, you are staring down the barrel of an Anivia, a Karma, an Ezreal, and a Jace. And a Skarner. Actually, the entire team of Luminosity, if you even attempt to walk up to them in auto range, you will probably die. But Sejed was just like always on it, and his positioning was immaculate. His timing was really good. I think him and Yuji worked beautifully together in that game. Like Yuji on the Vi opened up a lot of space, most importantly, for Sejed to just continuously free hit on the Lucian, and they couldn't punish it because Luminosity were constantly split throughout the fight. So super good jungle AD carry performance, but specifically Sejed on the Lucian, just in like I would say improbable conditions, managing to clutch the fuck up.
Yeah, pretty much showing the adaptation that I wanted to see. Sorry to cut you off there, but that we wanted to see with DarkZero, because like the doubt mainly was how they would change from Scary Jerry to Sejed, because technically speaking, they are kind of different players in how they want to approach the game, and so far,
They're very different
I
players,
feel like it's barely been shown like the difference between the two of them, and particularly the way that they've been playing, I think makes more or gives more power to Zamudo compared to the Scary Jerry version. So I think that Sejed gives you another way to play it, where if you approach it, Zamudo feels like a much stronger carry player now for DarkZero, and he gets to be a little bit more, put it like, showy. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but like to show himself even more. Yeah, exactly. Like more flashy in more games than I feel like he was last year. Getting to show even more carry value comparatively this year.
absolutely. Boc, you were trying to get
Boc,
something
we
in?
cut you off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just wanted to like gently push back on the assertion that this is like a hard comp for Lucian to play into. Like, I mean, is it ideal? No, but like the comp is built around Lucian can like flex as hard as he wants, because who's gonna like actually realistically challenge him? Like obviously like Ezreal and Karma can play from range here, but
Yeah.
Skarner's the one who's going to have to come up and create space, and he will just absolutely destroy Skarner. Like he'll just delete Skarner. He's like Skarner's going to stack HP, and okay, like if Skarner looks for an engage, we have like Milio Cleanse, we have Milio Q, we've got like Rise, Vi, Rumble. Like Skarner's going to get one shot instantly, so it's like he's got all the tools to do what he needs to do, and also like this Rise pick just did so much work in these fights after Skarner was gone.
Yeah,
Rise is broken as shit. The changes to Catalyst made this character like an overnight sensation.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
baller
I do
character.
think
It happens always.
it does. So I do think I think the Lucian is more meaningful in I think TDS's point is pretty close to my thoughts here. Like Sejed last year was not like the Lucian guy, you know, like it was, you know, in a season where Dragonsteel, you know, you look at Scary Jerry's stats from 2024 compared to Sejed's stats from 2024, right? As far as what champions they played. Scary Jerry's the guy who was spamming the Lucian all the time. Sejed was the guy who, you know, was a lot more on the Varus, the Xayah, the Kai'Sa. It played like maybe 1 or 2 games of Lucian the whole season, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's cool that he's, you know, this feels like more of a Dragonsteel lane than a FlyQuest Challengers lane. So it's cool to see him, you know, picking up these sorts of picks alongside Zyko. and slot into this team even as they are kind of evolving their identity in real time. But I mean, for me, the MVP of this game is Spyrax on the rise. I mean, this was
Agree.
one of the best games I've actually ever seen Spyrax play, I think. I've been a bit of a Spyrax naysayer most of his career. I loved him on Maryville the first time, and then he got picked up on Fly Challengers and never lived up to what I wanted, and I've been poo-pooing him for like 4 years since then. Fantastic game from him, though. No notes. I loved this Rise game out of him. It just... And I think he's been
Especially
playing
against
tremendously all
Anivia.
season so far. I mean, it's
Like-
4 games, but Spyrax has been on point. Spyrax is the best mid in the league so far.
Yeah. I think though,
Yeah.
like especially the Anivia matchup, like you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like usually Rise can get like push early against Anivia because Anivia's mana problems just make it so fucking difficult for you to actually get like any priority. But like later down the line, Anivia can just like wall you off.
It's
and, like,
supposed to
tell
be a big
you
counter
no.
pick. Anivia and Rise is supposed to be like a hard winning lane, right?
Like
I would
unless
say even
I'm-
early on, you feel like with the mana problems, like the range from your Q enables you so that you don't need to play to Rice's range. You can play for your range, and it's kind of difficult to really bother her in general in that matchup.
It's just different. It's difficult to bother Anivia in
Yeah,
general.
I mean,
That
correct
pick is so
me if I'm
safe,
wrong. I'm
but-
pretty sure the only reason Anivia's even in this game is because it's ostensibly a counter to the Rise, right?
Well, it's that, and then it's a Roa user, and a bunch of Roa users are good right now because they changed the build path and made it just like better.
They
Like,
just made
is
Catalyst
just
better, right?
right
Catalyst just gives you more
Yeah.
health for mana
Yeah.
spent now or something.
Yeah, it's just
right?
a good item, and I also think that like I would put Anivia in the same vein of like meta viability as someone like Zoe, right? Where it's not like immediately apparent that you can play this champion, but if you're good at them, they can work, right? Because we've seen like some pocket Anivia picks come out, excluding Froggen. And I think that this was one such case where it was actually really good, which makes it all the more impressive that Spyrax kind of took Insanity to school in game 1. Game number 2, I think it was a bit more of a minced matchup between the two mid laners, but yeah, for sure. If I had to give an MVP to game 1, it would definitely be Spyrax. One player though, I was doing like a live view with Hawk and a few others during this series, and like one thing that we were really concerned about was Zyko. Zyko was like constantly looking for like ward angles, and in particular in that game number 1, he got caught out like 3 times, right? Like it might have not immediately resulted in a death, but it resulted in attention being given over by Dragonsteel to go save their support. So it was a little bit worrying, but honestly, like if he is able to get away with that shit against teams like Luminosity, then like against worse teams, what the fuck, right?
There's a reason why these guys are the first seed, or the best team in NACL on
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah,
So,
I was rooting for DarkZero to be the best team in the league, but like, beggars and choosers and all that, but not
They
like
are,
this.
bro.
They are the best team in the league, but
No,
like I feel
I
like
want them
Luminosity
to
and Near Airport are
dominate.
worse than I wanted.
I want them to dominate because I want them in the LTA. Like
Sure,
straight up,
sure.
if not the team, then the players, right? Like
But
I think
that should mean you should want a strong Luminosity and a strong Near Airport
Yeah.
for that
do
to
want a
happen.
strong Luminosity, and I don't think Luminosity are weak. Like I actually think Luminosity are quite good. Like I think that the series
agree.
between Near Airport and LG in week
I mean,
1
they're top 3, no
was
doubt.
good.
But
Yeah.
they're top 3, no
Um,
doubt. But I would have liked them to. And I guess they
But-
should have won game 2. So whether they
And-
put up a
and
good
I like
fight or
them
not
being-
is.
I like them being dominant, but I also like that this week, kind of switching gears, it wasn't immediately apparent that there was like a hard cutoff in top 3, like a lot of people assumed there would be, right? Because
Mhm.
Near Airport lost a game to CCG, right? So like
They
I
should
think
have
the
lost too.
ability-
They should have
could have
lost
the
too.
series.
I mean that series
blows my
probably
mind.
should have been reversed, but like it still proves my point that I do think some of the better like teams like 5-6 can take games off of Luminosity and Near Airport. Like they're good. They're not as good as people would expect them to be, but
That's fair.
I honestly think that's perfectly fine. Like
Yeah.
I think I think like NACL is still goddamn strong as hell. So I'm glad to see that, instead of there being like 3 people over here in like skill and then like the other 7 are over like here, It's more like incremental, you know, and it's not as
Closer
big
to
of a
it, yeah.
gap. Yeah.
Yeah. So funny question. You said you think NACL is really strong. I've seen this question in chat. I've
do.
thought about it myself a little bit. How do you think these NACL teams would stack up against Los Ratones?
I think so. This was a question that was asked on Salty Rumback. Hawk and Grapes kind of talked about this.
Okay, my bad then. Oops.
No.
Okay,
This is a
we
this is a
repeat
good
half their
excuse for me
topics
to
anyway,
chime in.
baby, and they repeat
But
all
with
of
better
ours.
knowledge.
So I actually do want to answer this question. This is a question that I think I monologued to myself about. So I'm glad it's being asked. To be honest with you, I think Los Ratones would probably be like, this is tough to see because I mean, this is like a tough assessment because it's kind of, what do you think is EMEA strength, like EMEA Masters, like EU Masters strength compared to the NACL? As a person who is not as like much of a watcher of EU Tier 2, but I've tuned into a few games, I personally think NACL is stronger overall. Like, their top half teams are stronger than EU Masters. Because, I mean, Los Ratones, what did they, like, during the tournament, they only dropped like 2 games. Everything else was a complete clean sweep. Even the finals was a clean sweep. Like, to me, that speaks to Los Ratones being the best team by far. And the strength of competition is not as high. I think the strength of competition in the NACL is higher, and therefore I think that maybe Los Ratones can like be good at first, but DarkZero and Luminosity in particular, I think could catch up. And DarkZero, I actually think could beat Los Ratones. So I would say if I had to give them like a placement, like if they were to be the 11th team, I would put them second. I do not think they're better than DarkZero though. Like I will stand firm on this. I think DarkZero's team fighting is better. Right, and if DarkZero can aptly respond to side lanes, which I think is Los Ratones' best quality because Baus just pulls so much pressure by existing, then it's a silver bullet to the team. So
yeah, I'm not gonna make up some bullshit here. I didn't watch EMEA Masters, so I don't have a strong opinion here. I spent too much time watching all the NA games, but my understanding is that Supermassive was probably the second best team in that tournament, and they play a 5-game series in
top
quarterfinals.
They fucking
so.
hard.
Like, I think top 3, 100%.
Are we really gonna say a team with Narma is good? Are we?
I didn't watch the tournament. I'm just going off of what I've been told.
No, I know. I just like shitting.
I think it's. I think there were top 3 certainly. I'm also like, because I did watch it a little bit. I think KC Blue wasn't bad. I just think they got like they suffered the fate that Tempest suffered in OQs, but without a second chance, and they got upset in a way that I wasn't expecting them at all to be upset. So I 100% think they probably are top 3. So as far as comparatively here, I think Los Ratones, would be better than I think they are better than almost all NACL teams. I think DarkZero is close, but they are not better than Los Ratones. And my main reasoning for this is that I think that we undervalue Baus way too much. I feel like Baus is probably one of the, like, for how short he's playing competitive, for how much he's done, and for how quickly he adapted to a team dynamic with 3 pro players and 1 rookie. Well, 2 rookies technically. I think he's one of the, like, to me, if he took pro playing seriously, he would be a top laner 100%. Like 100%, he would be top 2 top laners in EU if he took it seriously. Because his value. Oh, sorry, Quax, just to finish. He's one of those players that he can completely shit the bed in some of the games and still be relevant. And by that, he will never disappear on you in an important game ever. Like, even the bye games where he was getting caught up, like, first, he plays bye, by the way, but even the bye games that he was getting caught up consistently, he found like 2 or 3 picks that were game winning. That's a thing that top laners will or not have. Like, that's just there's just a cutoff with that. And to me, Boss makes so much of so little that makes it really difficult to see. And one of the main strong points for this current DarkZero to me is Samuro. And I don't think Samuro wins against Boss. That's my problem, though.
What?
I don't think he wins against him. No, it's like, but it's that he does not win lane. He does not out teamfight him. That's the problem. I think Baus is really good at that.
Okay, but
Like,
here's
that's
the
my
thing.
problem there.
One of Zamudo, even before he came to Dragonsteel, DarkZero, whatever you want to call them, I think one of the best things that Zamudo did right was the laning phase and being able to side lane.
Yeah.
Like, I think Zamudo's side laning has always been his most sturdy trait as a player. Like, obviously, since he's come to what's it called? To Marivel Dragonsteel, like, he's been more well-rounded by having Niles in his corner. But personally, I do not think Zamudo would get gapped by Baus. Like, I think Baus.
Oh, no. I don't mean gapped. I just think that Zamudo would not do anything that he's doing here. And that's the problem. Because I think that then you take away kind of like 30% of what DarkZero is able to do. And then I don't think DarkZero wins any lane after that.
I would say DarkZero, the only lane they lose hard is probably mid. Like, I think Nemesis is by far the best. I think Nemesis is by far the best player on that team. And whether
yes, but I don't think Sayed is better than Crownshot. That's also the problem. Like, I think Crownshot is better than Sayed.
All right, Boc, you introduced
That's
this
my
chaos. We got to hear your take. You gotta come in here and give us your thoughts.
So cool thing is I actually coached a team in EU Masters this past split, and we scrimmed Lost Ratones as well. And so I have the unique experience of coaching an NACL and then coaching an EMEA Masters. So I think from my experience, I can say that Lost Ratones would be a top 3 team. I think they would beat Near Airport. I think they would struggle into Luminosity, and I think they would get 3-1'd by DarkZero in a best of 5.
Okay.
Let's fucking go, yeah, Boc. Get on my side, bro.
I mean, there's no sides to it.
I know.
I've played against them. I've been here in NACL, and I think the level of EMEA Masters is not like NACL at all. It's more like OQ, because the discrepancy. No, sorry, I meant like in terms of spread.
Yeah.
So
I get what he said. What he means with that, because it's so big. Like, it's legitimately so big that the difference between leagues, like, legitimately could be tier 1 and tier 2 leagues.
You get like random Arabian League teams in there and stuff, and they're.
Well, they got a good league. Arabia,
I think, for example,
they're good.
I'm thinking like
Italian
sorry, I'm
leagues
in
are
mindset of like
a
2
little
to 3
lesser
years
in
ago.
comparison. For example,
we don't talk about Italian league because we
Yeah.
lost to them. But like my league, like the league I coached in Portugal league, like bottom of the barrel in terms of quality, but we get a slot if we finish first in our regional split. So here we are in EMEA Masters. But yeah, like I would say like we were an AMI and Lost Ratones in Carmine Court Blue and Supermassive, and maybe like to a lesser extent like Los Heretics and Geek are like these top 3 NACL teams in terms of skill. So it's like, as what happened to us in OQs with Doghouse, some of these big dogs can in fact lose, but it's going to be not very likely. And I just think like these games are so over sensationalized on YouTube, and it's so easy to like see like these monsters. Exactly. Like, but they're human. They scrim LEC teams, they get 0-5. They're not taking games off LEC teams.
Didn't Cadril make an announcement where he's like, I want to try and get this team into tier 1 next year. If you go to tier 1, you might not finish last, but you sure as shit aren't touching like the top.
You're not
5.
going to Worlds.
You're not going to Worlds.
They might take a couple games. In the split, in the regular split.
We also need to consider that, technically speaking, things will change 100% if they start facing better teams. Because you're going to improve, like it or not, against top teams. So that's probably going to be a good experience for them. That being said, I 100% will bet that if he gets into LEC, he will not have the same 5 players, because it will be a 10th lazy, like 100%.
And it's kind of hilarious, because I actually think those 5 players on Los Ratones are good. Like, from top to bottom, I think they all provide something that's super duper valuable. Like, I think Baus, like you said, like TDS put it really eloquently, he makes something out of fucking nothing. He pulls a ton of pressure. Like, I can't even begin to tell you the amount of times where I've seen Baus like be on a side lane, 3 people collapse on him. The rest of Los Ratones are on Dragon, Otacon, Baron, like doing something on the other side. He either 1-for-1s, survives, or dies. And any of those scenarios
Those
are, a
are the
net
only
positive
3 things you
for
could do.
Zones.
The last one is perfect actually for boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Like
yeah.
it
I
just
agree.
it just works. Like, and I think that like realistically, I think the only lane that gets hard gapped is mid. Like I think Spirax is really good. I might be a little higher on Nemesis than your average Joe. I don't tell Hawk I said this because Hawk thinks that Nemesis is a fraud. But I think Nemesis is the best player on that team by far. I think
So he's on the
everybody
line
else.
of a certain ginger man, okay?
I think everybody else on DarkZero can gap their counterpart. Like I actually don't think Sajet is outclassed like definitionally by Crown Shot like all the time.
Wait, it's Crowny now. I forgot about that. Yeah,
I would
Crowny.
put Sajet over Crown Shot. I would put
Okay.
Zamudo over Baus, and I would actually
Yuji is
I'd
over
put Nemesis
Velia.
lower.
I think
Really?
Juji's better than Bales, yeah.
Yeah,
I would
Nemesis
say
did not impress.
I am impressed with Nemesis every time they play. Or every time they win, it kind of just seems like Nemesis contributes the most. I will say Velia as well is a really good jungler. Like I think he is definitely the most like he can be the best player on the team if given resources. But dude, Yuji, like this guy's next up. You have to realize that. Like if you're looking at LTA players who are going, like if you're looking at players in the NACL who are going to be in the LTA in the next year,
Well,
Yuji is number fucking one.
we want to talk about Juji a bit though, because like I did see that he kind of got like public traction. So now it's not necessarily about time to touch a little bit on Juji, because like I've seen people talk about like Juji potentially screaming with LTA teams, or the LTA teams potentially looking into Juji. I've seen that in.
I've seen those rumors. I feel like those rumors start floating around this time every year.
Yeah, but like my point goes here with if they are true, because it could potentially happen considering the ability from Juji.
I want like a 6-man roster. That's what I said when
no,
like,
yeah, but I'm more leaning towards what happens with DarkZero, because I think if you take Yuji out now, they fall from top 3 to top 5. Like
yeah,
I'd
they
say
have
top
to run
5,
Shimmer,
but, like,
and then they end up
like
being.
I think the difference between Yuji and Shimmer is big, like
Shimmer,
big.
Hey,
Shimmer.
my
And he's
Supernova Dark Matter
Boc
go.
coached Shimmer.
Yeah, true.
That's my
Wait,
Supernova Dark
just-
Matter go.
Just one moment, I just want to make this clear. Supernova Dark Matter was in ACO when we were when Gordo and us was casting last time. It was a fun team, but I predicted them to not make it through, and it came through. I just wanted to talk that
Okay,
because
all right,
it felt
Boc.
great being right about that.
I will also
That's
say, I think that like okay, I actually disagree. I think that if Yuji were to leave, and keep in mind, this is probably not going to happen until the summer split, right? Like they don't just randomly like grab someone from the NACL in the middle of this play. Like that's not how it works. So they're going to grab him. At most, he gets
Unless you're like
he gets hit up. He gets hit up and he gets put on a team in summer. But like I think in summer, barring any like major changes, like obviously we have promo releg and all of that stuff. But like one thing that I think people are underestimating the rest of the Dragonsteel DarkZero roster. I personally think that if they get Shimmer in place of Yuji and every team here stays the same, which obviously it won't, but if it does, then we are probably looking at them being third. I do not think they will crack the top 2, but I think a third place is probably what we'll see. If they get rid of Yuji and Zamudo, then I think we're talking like top 5, potentially lower. Like I think you're underestimating the value of 4/5 still being together. Like they can easily, like bro, if I cut off a finger from my hand, I can still use my goddamn hand. Maybe
So
not
yes,
as well, but
so yes, but it depends on what finger you cut out, because if you take out your
I'll cut off my middle finger just for you.
If you cut off your thumb, it's kind of difficult to actually make use of your hand. So like, and that's the thing. I feel like Yuji in this case is a thumb. Like I don't take anything away from the other members from
more of a
DarkZero.
pointer finger, personally.
Yeah, the finger that feels more important
This
to
is
people.
the
That's the
debate
one
we're
I go.
fucking having.
But the thing with Yuji here, and it's not to discredit Shimmer at all. I think that he can be great, and he will not like diminish the value from DarkZero. But I feel like the jump between potentially number 1 jungler to top 5 jungler in the league is quite big. I cannot make the case here with my hands because it gets out of frame. Well, actually, yeah, out of frame. That's a good representation of it. And the other thing is that, and this is a good segue to Lumina City game, because we talk about Spyrex in that first game, how he managed some of the situations out. Like Gigi got like 3 or 5 or 4 picks onto tactical Ezreal when he was just a slightly mispositioned consistently. And that's the thing with Gigi. Like Gigi finds you game-winning plays whenever you least expect them. He gets you leads when you least expect them. He gets control of the map when you least expected. Like his value as a jungler, like so far at the very least, is comparative to what people were expecting to be the number 1 jungler or number 2 jungler in the form of Spica. In the NACL. Probably a little bit better than Spica so far, yes. So like at that level, I cannot say that DarkZero will be similar or close to similar if you replace that with an unknown quantity in the form of Shimmer, which is a really big unknown quantity at this point. And I think like the difference will be impactful for DarkZero, even if it grows into something much better, which can potentially happen. I just think that the difference at this point would make DarkZero fall quite a bit.
I can see that. Yeah, it'd be interesting if it comes up. I think a mid-season promotion with how
Makes
quick
more
these
sense.
splits are is unlikely. Maybe for summer, but we'll have to see.
Yeah,
Wait, I mean, yeah,
I'm
it makes more sense to
anticipating-
see him in summer. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what.
Yeah.
I do want to
and-
chat
and
about
I-
some other teams before we're done here. So let's.
We talked about fucking Los Ratones. I mean, this
We
has
did.
been
Well,
fun.
hey, you're right. We did get Los Ratones in there.
My
but-
bad, guys.
No,
Hey, we
dude,
need the
honestly, I
viewers.
loved that
We need the
I
viewers as
loved-
well
I
occasionally.
fucking loved that question. And most importantly, we didn't shit on Los Ratones so much that the EU players or the EU people are going to come into the chat and attempt to
Oh, they'll find a
kill
way.
us through the screen.
Yeah, it's good.
They'll find a way.
That works out.
But let's.
We just need to talk shit about Brazil in some way now, and like we just.
Do not
We've done
talk
this
shit about
before. We've
Carmen
done
Corp.
this song and dance
Yeah.
already.
07. 07.
07. That's. Let's talk about some teams that played twice this week, just that we've gotten a little bit more footage of. I want to chat about Apex a little bit, who, we talked earlier, after promotion tournament, the storyline was, Apex MI versus Dog Fans. This is the contest for who gets last in NACL. Already locked in, not 09, as they come on in and are able to take a 2-1 win. And it's not even against the Pulse roster. It's against Winthrop University in a 3-game series. Lojaz stepping up here. I think he looks way, way better than I ever would have expected him to at this level. I don't know how I keep underestimating this guy after he exceeds my expectations every split, but he does it again. A really
weren't you
strong
part of the
series from
church?
AMI here.
Yeah, be part of the church. This is a call to everyone. Go to my Twitter page, link below. I have an application that you can fill out to be part of the Church of Lojaz if you answer. And I will be discussing with Pope Shibby about your eligibility. So that's just a call to everyone watching. I'm shamelessly plugging our Church of Lojaz.
Yeah, I think he's
Cold.
like he's channeling like in Dragon Ball Z, where Goku does like the Genki Dama, the Spirit Bomb. I think you guys are just feeding Lojaz some energy off of your like bullshit cult that you got.
I
going
guess so.
on
I
here,
think it's
and,
every
hey,
time.
Bullshit.
Every
There's
time
nothing
Slayer and I
bullshit.
complain
nothing
about his
bull about
solo
this
queue
shit.
account names, he gets stronger. That's.
Yeah.
I think that's it, because he's been tormenting us in. I mean, he was tormenting us in like Masters leagues like a couple splits
Yep.
ago with his probably not a
funny.
couple, maybe a couple years ago with his terrible solo queue account names, and they've only gotten worse, and he's only gotten better. So
But it's better, yeah.
you got to give it to him. I remember when he was just Ben Guy, and
Yup.
he was just like, oh, Ben Guy's making the broadcast difficult again. It's every day with this guy. And now, he can't do it on the NACL stage because TR, you have to have your real name. But he's getting it done.
I will say, I think that I think AMI have really solid early games. I think that they are always able to deliver in the first 15 minutes, but then side laning and team fighting macro, I think is what really gets in the way. My opinion of the NACL is you can have the best macro in the fucking world, right? But when it comes down to team fighting and knowing how to team fight, those are where the best teams shine. And I think that AMI still have a lot of work to do in that department in particular. But while I think Lojaz has been really, really good, I do think that there are some inconsistent pieces. This was not a great week for FiMini, in my opinion. I think that AMI are really trying to give FiMini things like the Yone, right? And these more aggressive, front-loaded damage picks. And it's just not really working. right? And like this week they were against some of the more like middle of the pack teams, and I do think that like if AMI want to get another like series win, they have to put Mini on what he's known for. Like when I picture Mini, I don't picture like Yone, I don't picture these aggressive, you know, sort of AD mid laners. I picture
You
shit
picture
like
a gray
the
screen, yeah. Oh,
Well, I would hope not. I picture like long range mages, right? Like this almost feels like what would happen if like Samikin or something like that was put on a team that just absolutely detested his playstyle and didn't let him play his own shit. Like I think that
he's on Blue
Mini,
Water. Why'd you say that twice? Oh, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Damn.
I'm just talking shit now. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Two
You're good. I was
teams
confused
in
for a
just
moment.
one sentence. Like that's efficiency right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Are we back? I'm
Did
back.
we ever
Oh,
leave?
we're good. We're good.
I paused for a moment.
Okay.
But like, I personally think that Mini, like, just put him on shit that he knows how to play, right? Like, I feel like AMI are trying to cook a lot with their players, and like, just stop it. Just stop it, please. Because it seems like you played what worked against Winthrop, and you got the win, and then you tried to be different with Supernova, and you lost. So yeah, I just think that AMI, like, even though we're in Fearless, like they have, I think, enough champions where they can just stick to their guns, and make these players look good on the champions that they know they're good at. Because it seems like anytime they try to branch out, like it just doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Torpedo
don't
force.
know that I mean, I think Mini didn't have the best week. I think his series up against Winthrop is fine. I agree that I mean, I think I don't know. Hard to say how he did up against Supernova. You know, like Asila is not playing particularly well himself in that series. I think
Yeah.
they're both kind of chucking back and forth there a little bit. So hard to and you know, you could definitely hold that against Mini. I won't blame you there. I don't know that I agree with the characterization that he's like a super magey player. Like thinking back to his ACL splits, I think he played a lot of Yone. He played
No,
a fair
he
bit of
can't
Corki.
play things like the Tristana like he did against Winthrop, but I just feel like there definitely seems to be like a difference in his playstyle. Like I feel like he is a lot more sturdy on those long range mages, and
Yeah.
he kind of plays a lot on the edge with some of those more aggressive picks like Tristan Yone, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you don't have that like kind of coin flip, in my opinion, whenever he's on those long range mages. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I don't know. I think against Winthrop he has a good series. I think he plays the Tristana quite well. I think his Azir game is quite good. Sword does get mega ahead in the game against the Yone, but I do think like Apex clearly like I think they're out of that game after Sword has like 5 kills, which is at like 12 minutes. So like I don't think that game gets played out.
So we're kind of locked in for that second game
till its full extent, but I don't think 5-minute Yone is like particularly the problem there. Nor do I think he looks bad on it, other than one really goofy play against Supernova. His Yone game there, I know he has like a play where the gank goes wrong immediately, like Keel shows up on Skarner and completely messes up what they were going for. Rhino has a huge giant growth, and 5-minute like soul unbounds deep underneath a turret and condemns himself to death, but you know, that fight's already lost. I don't know that there's too much that you could particularly hold against him this week. I think Pocus has a pretty bad week. I will say that, especially up against Supernova. But all in all, I think this team is exceeding expectations, though. I think Low Jazz has looked really good. I think Decoy has had multiple really good games. I think they've all been on Aurora, weirdly enough. That and his Malphite game, I mean. His Malphite game, he plays Malphite. He does his job. You know, I think they kind of draft gap that game a little bit.
Shout out. Yep.
Yeah, but they play but they play it out. They play the draft gap correctly, and that's something that usually your bottom 3 teams you can't count on. But they just sit there. They do nothing until they auto win at 30, 35-ish minutes.
I will say this.
And they do it. I think you deserve credit for that as a team that everybody was memeing on for they're playing for 10th place.
I will say this. That meme is completely, in my opinion, like chucked out the window. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, these guys are a bottom 2 team," Now I think Pulse is a bottom 1 team. Like I think that AMI have shown that they can pull through, right? Like obviously they got like a series win, right? And that is obviously more than we can say about Pulse. But like they've also, even in the series that they've lost, they've shown signs of life, right? Like maybe they've cooked a little too hard. Maybe their mid to late game has been really sloppy. Like that game where Fine Mini had the Cho'Gath, I was like, oh, these guys totally have it, right? But they lost. And like I wasn't expecting that. But it's just like I think if they can clean up like post 15-minute gameplay, then they should be able to definitely, I think, even if they are not necessarily above the bottom 2 threshold, they should definitely, I think, prove to a lot of people that most of these players can be, upswung into NACL level. Like in particular, Baz had a very good week. Like, win loss. I think Baz was a player that not a ton of people were high on. I know I sure shit wasn't, and he performed really well. So like these guys can have good breakout performances against some of the middle tier teams. And I think that's honestly just as if you're AMI, that's what you're hoping for, right? Like this is about the players. This isn't necessarily as much about the org staying as it is the players getting recognition and eyes on them.
Ideally staying up in the process, yes, but
ideally, yeah.
I think they're doing an expected job so far. Probably I was expecting them to be a little bit higher, certainly, but so far, I'm more impressed with the way that they played out certain team fight situations. Because like in games that should be doomed for them, they've been really good at answering back in team fight situations. For example, first week against Conviction, I think second game, or actually no, first game, I think they played some of the team fights so well that it could have been a much better like series for them in general. I still think they probably lose against Conviction, but could have gone a little bit longer if they played out some of the situations much smarter because their team fighting wasn't that bad. And then coming into this week, I think they cleaned up their play a little bit. Their team fight was still good, but they cleaned up a little bit. They still need to clean up a little bit more though, because like there's multiple instances that just questioning or like question mark pinging them would not be enough to like call out how bad of a play something they did was.
Need to bring the bait
but like I
ping
think
back.
I call like they can, but like it's still bad. Like they are doing something really stupid occasionally, and this is the sort of growing pain that I was expecting from a team that has 5 people that have never played in the NACL, and more so than that, a team that wasn't even expected to get into the NACL. So like this is something that will consistently keep on happening until like potentially the last few weeks where I feel like their game will be cleaned up much more. But probably by that point they will be relegation material team, sadly. Because like we're week 2 now, they are 1-2. They have yet to play DarkZero, or actually just quickly I will check just to confirm. Yeah, they have yet to play DarkZero, Near Airport, and Luminosity. So that should be another 3 losses
They still
for
have
them.
Pulse on the schedule though.
Yeah, but that like if we take it by name value, that would be 2-6. Or sorry, 2-5. And remember last week we talked about Supernova, how losing those first matches was bad because of the amount of games that they were. For AMI, that means that they have to win against either Bluewater, CCG, Bluewater or CCG to even keep themselves alive. Or actually win both to even qualify to playoffs. That's going to be a difficult circumstance for them, sadly.
Yeah. Well, Boc, you guys played this team in week number 1, beat them there. You lost to them via transitive property when they beat Dog Fans in the OQ bracket. Thoughts on Apex?
I love seeing new players because first of all, I'm a new player. True, like I'm not an NACL veteran, so I just like seeing new blood added into the league. I almost don't care that they're not at the level that you need to be to play in NACL. I really don't think they are. I'm going to push back once again. And I apologize if I offend any one of you here, but like the most like worthless thing is like, oh yeah, like they did good in lane, but then they fall apart. Well, that's the game League of Legends. Like if this was a laning phase simulator, it would mean something, but like all of these players are top challenger players. Like what it means to be a good player is to play and win as a team. So I think that this is where these guys get to prove if they deserve it moving forward. I had a wonderful experience. This was whenever the first Clash came out. Do you guys remember when that was? It was a lot of years ago,
I
right?
was in
Shit, I mean, bro,
college,
like
so-
I would remember when the first Clash came out if they didn't delay it so many fucking times. Like, remember when the meme was like, "Oh yeah, Clash is a myth," because they said it.
Yeah,
They said
yeah.
it was gonna.
It
be
was
a
probably
thing
like
in
2017,
2017.
Actually,
2018.
They pushed
Yeah.
it back so many times though that I don't even
I don't
remember when the
remember,
first one
yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Well, so this was way back in the Maybach then. This was I was like a D4 stucker, and I queued up for my first ever Clash, and I was playing with Busio when he was like a D1 Masters player. And game 1, it's against Biofrost and Huhi, and I'm landing into Huhi top lane as a D4 player, and he is up 150 CSME kicking my teeth in, and then I made a Reddit post on it. I was like, "Holy shit. This is what it's like to get my ass kicked." And I was like, I don't want that to ever happen again. So humbled up. I learned everything I could from that experience. I started putting myself in situations where I would get my teeth kicked in over and over again. And I'm still a dog shit player, but it's helped me develop and grow so much. So if these players can take that on the chin and not fold, that's like up to them. But I want to see them do great stuff, and I want to see the same thing for my roster as well, because I want us to win the split on conviction. Is it going to win the split? Like, let's see. Like, I believe in us, but you know what? If we don't, I want us to at least grow from it. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We touched a lot on Pulse last week. I don't think they give us anything revolutionary this week, but I do want to talk about Winthrop a little bit. They, of course, play a tough match up against AMI that they lose 1-2, and then they beat Pulse in a 2-1. And by virtue talking about both of these teams, I think we'll have touched on Pulse plenty. How are we feeling about Winthrop's week here?
Dude, I got worried in week number 1 when they actually won their series, and I was like, oh shit, I might have really undervalued this team. And then they lose a game to Pulse, and then they lose a series as well. And it's just like, look, the way I have phrased it is like, I think that, like, obviously Sword, I think Sword and Wilson have actually been better than what I expected them to be, like, going into the split. Like, I expected these guys to be literally dragged by the toenail through the finish line if they were even going to get to the fucking finish line. Sword and Wilson have had good moments, but like, it really feels like this team just never really comes together in a way that you would expect from a squad of 5 that have been playing together for a decent amount of time up to this point, right? Like, this team does not look like they have been like constantly scrimming, constantly playing, like whether like CNV as well, right? Like, I believe they lost 2-3 to Ole Miss or
I
something
think they
like
lost
that.
3-1, no?
Or 3-1 maybe, yeah. Like another
don't
Ole Miss
remember.
versus Winthrop banger. But I will say, I gave Supernova a ton of grace when they shit the bed in week 1, right? Where they lost like 3 series in a week, and Winthrop only lost 2. I mean, they almost lost 3 to the worst team in like the space, but you know, that's beside the point. So I'm gonna give Winthrop a little bit of grace. Like, I do think that these guys still have a ton of potential. Like, we've seen bright moments from all 5 players, in my opinion. So I'm willing to just chalk this up to an off week, if I'm being completely honest with you. Like, I'm willing to, you know, not be an asshole and just be like, all right, you know, maybe it's an off week. Supernova had an off week. Ole Miss had an off week. If these guys, you know, can get their act together for next week, then I think we can be back. But yeah, like, this team in particular, like, it just feels like things should be coming together more for them, right? Because they've played together for so long. Like, Denethor in particular has the meta that I think he really enjoys. Like, Gwen is super duper fucking good. Aatrox is good. I think Denethor's Camille can work. Like, Denethor is really good at Cassante. Jace, I think, is probably Denethor's best pick in the split so far. Like, all of these champions are amazing in the top lane, and Denethor is amazing at these champions. So it really shocks me when this team isn't performing as good, when it feels like the meta favors the players in particular.
I think that's fair.
Like, they should be doing better. Like, I'm not like,
I
they're
agree
doing
that
like
it's
shit,
like
but they should
with
be better.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like this is they like I still feel like I'm not seeing like 2023 fall ACL champions Winthrop anymore, which is a shame because they've upgraded at support as well. It just feels like they really had all their ducks in a row then. They were like firing on all cylinders. They didn't quite put it together for the promo tournament, and they like have never looked the same since, and it's been like 2 years now. I do agree. I think Sword looked great actually. I've been pretty
Yeah,
impressed
like I've been
with
impressed with Sword.
I've been impressed with Sword too. And the weird thing about Sword is still like I think he's like median age in this league despite how long he's been around because this kid's been in academy since he was like 16.
Really young.
Yeah,
he was like one of the C9 or one of the TSM training CSM, what do they call it? TSM youth, TSM something like that players.
TSM trainees.
Yeah, and he's like, he role swapped to support for a while, and now he's been back in mid and Winthrop. I think this is about the best he's looked in mid, probably ever. He looks really, really good right now. Other than like when that Winthrop team was firing on all cylinders, and it felt like they were just unstoppable in the tier 3 space. So been really impressed with him. I think Denethor is still growing. He still has looked. I think his Jace game this week up against that's against Pulse, right? Yeah. Looked really, really good. I think he executes quite well in that one. So it is against Pulse, of course, so that's always a little bit of an asterisk. But I think I think this team looks good in the spots where you want it to, individually, right? But it's it's just so weird.
It just doesn't seem to come together for some reason.
The crazy macro breakdowns where they just they're just like completely dropping
like
one lane
they're set
for
up
no
around
reason
team
and
fights
stuff.
in particular. Like they it almost seems like they make the mistake of what like Supernova did in week 1, where they're just like, we have to fight a ton of shit. Like they're on like opposite side. They're almost on the opposite side of the pendulum sometime, where it's like they either fight way too hard or they give everything up. And it seems like I don't know. Like it's not like the players are bad. In fact, like I said, I think all the players on this team have shown bright spots. It just seems like they should be doing better. Like you look at these guys individually.
Here's the other weird thing, right? I'm a big mobility believer. I think mobility played really well coming in on CCG last split. I think in the wins that Pulse have had so far this split, I think multiple of them are mobility MVP games. Crazy to see mobility in only 35 get killed 2v2 like all 3 games of the Pulse series by Hub and Tubbs.
Yeah.
Like that's
Hub kind of fucking was crazy in that series, by the way.
Yeah, like I'm trying to piece together, is like, are Hub and Tubbs cooking, or are these guys like not like just making crazy mistakes? And I need to rewatch those laning phases again, I think, to reach a final conclusion there. But it's just a very interesting pattern to watch play out 3 games in a row from a bot lane that, like, I think preseason there's a world where it's like, oh, mobility in only 35 could be like at least a top half, if not better, bot lane duo in this league. Just knowing that only 35 has really impressed me since coming to North America. He's dominating our solo queue, had a really good ACL with what was that school? Weber. And I think highly mobility as well, but something's off there. Something's not going right for them.
Dynamic between the two of them, maybe.
Maybe.
It's kind of weird.
I mean, we can only really speculate, though.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that it ends up going out like that. Now,
hang on, Boc. It looked like you were trying to say something.
Yeah, go on, Boc.
I don't know, because like, without revealing scrim results, but like we've scrimmed against Winthrop before, and they look like 5 human beings playing the video game, and then I'll watch a series versus AMI or versus Pulse, and I'll be like who, I don't know, like, is this 5 dead raccoons like on the keyboard, or like what's going on here? Yeah, like, I mean, so I genuinely, I'm just as lost as you are. I don't think any of these players are like bad players at all.
In fact, I would think they've improved. Like jungle mid is better than what they were. But like, Boc, Boc, keep going.
No, I was going to say something terrible. Like, maybe they need to stop sharing ketamine with Elon Musk, and I don't know. Who knows, dude?
Okay, we were on track to not getting canceled on the
You
episode.
can't
I
get
already
canceled
made a
for
joke
that.
that might
No,
get
no, no,
canceled,
no, no.
so
Not
you
in.
know, fuck
Yeah,
it.
Not with this. Not with this. You can't get canceled for that. No, 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 no,
but
no.
I was thinking with Winthrop because, like, yes, they technically started really well here, but we need to remember that Winthrop is one of the most choky teams that have graced the NE tier 3, tier 2 system. Because, like, even when they were supposed to be good, they choked. And now
Yeah,
that
like
they are
they
good,
Except for
technically,
2023 ACL, baby. They
they
were.
were
yeah,
supposed to
that
promote into
the one
NACL and they had
only.
to buy their
Yeah.
way in. Yeah, like it.
So, and that's a thing for me with Winthrop here. Like, I'm kind of thinking, is it possible that if they lose one more game or one more match, the way that they've been playing this week, do they just begin spiraling into like a downward trend and then choke their way out of NACL? Like, I can see that being a reality just because of the nature of their team and the fact that realistically, this is pretty much the same core bar only 35 that has choked multiple instances of
And
NACL,
only
and that's the
35
scary
looks
thing
good.
for me with them.
I actually think only 35 looks really fucking good. Like
Yeah.
I was a bit skeptical on this guy. I was like, I don't know how this is gonna shake out, but he's actually looked really good. Like particularly on the engage supports, like Rakan and Rel. I think only 35 is like really solid on those. And I think it's allowed mobility to
Agree.
just unleash. I think mobility has played like the best 6 months of League of Legends in his entire career. And so like it's just a shocker when it just all seems to kind of like it's like when you have those magnets, right? And you try to put the same sides and like connect them together, but they're like fighting each other, and they like slip, or they like are like constantly like you're trying really hard to get them to like connect, and they just can't fucking connect. That to me is like my metaphor for Winthrop right now. Like I'm sure the magnets themselves are great, but like they just aren't. They aren't colliding.
I think that's fair. I think that's
I
fair.
hope
Yeah.
that changes, by the way. I love all teams in the NACL and I love North America, so
Yeah.
Me
Well,
too.
soon enough,
USA.
by our wishes alone, they'll be the best. This will be the best league in the world. We'll be the next LCK.
Yeah, technically. I still did a power ranking, so I hope that everything falls into place. Like I will always say this. I'm biased in
motherfucker.
favor of my predictions.
You're
so
biased for your
sadly-
priors. Stick to the priors,
Yeah,
no matter what.
exactly. So based on my analysis, I hope they get demoted. But it's nothing against them. It's just based on my analysis.
There you go. All right. Well, this is a good one. I think that about wraps it up, unless anybody has any
Nope,
burning
hang on.
things to bring up. All right, Quax. All right, go ahead,
One more thing before we close it out.
please.
Everyone, round of applause for TDS. It was announced on Twitter
Oh,
few
yes.
days ago, as of recording this, that this man is going to be on the LTA South English broadcast. So major congrats. This is a tradition here on the Salt Mine where we congratulate any of the people, the hosts or the co-hosts or whatever, for getting into a big project. We did it with Slayer with LPL. We did it with Gordo when he was covering OQs on the official channel. It's TDS's turn, so congratulations, dude.
Yeah,
Oh,
happy
yeah.
finally happened. Today I was able to get on today. Crazy games. I was
Yeah.
excited for the opportunity, and honestly, it's been good. Hopeful that I get more chances to go on there, and that eventually we all in the South Mine can say we were in a tier 1 broadcast.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We'll get there. Yeah, congrats, dude. I retweeted it on the Salt Mine account, but yeah, thank you for bringing that on up, Quax. And thank you, Boc,
Yeah.
for hopping on to today's episode. Last word goes to you, brother, if you want to shout anything out, you want to say anything as a last thought before we're done for the day.
Yeah. So, first of all, I want to say thanks to each and every one of you for having me on. Also, big thanks to Slayer, who followed me on Twitter first, and then I reached out to him and let him know, hey, get me in some content. I love doing content. It's fun. It's cool. I do got some shout outs. I'll run through them real quick.
Go for it.
So, Hoarder, you're proving everyone wrong. I just want to let you know, like, when you stumble, remember that it's a marathon, not a sprint. I believe in you. Kizno, you're a monster. I don't even need to say anything else. Darkwings, see you in LTA. Big shout outs. Aaron, my goat, sensitive playa. The
Chrome.
emotional rock of my team.
Chrome,
You know?
Boc.
Chrome. Let's say his name is Aaron. His IGN is Aaron, but it's now Chrome. So like I call him by his actual name. You know.
Okay.
So whatever. You know, it's too complicated, dude. From one playa to another. You know. But and then like shout outs, of course, to Manui, one of the smartest and hardworking players I know. I hope and I know that your hard work's gonna pay off. Shout out to Conviction and Tempest for getting us to where we're at now. Shout out to Tonin and Trashy for help making this all possible. And shout out to all my subscribers on my YouTube channel. I hope you guys aren't hard stuck anymore. So those are all my shout outs. Thanks, guys.
I find it kind of funny, just quickly, how like I feel like there's a clear dichotomy between what Boc and then like Thin Ankle Phil from Blue Water. Like I feel there's such a like a contrast between both coaches that we've had here. Kind of funny.
Phil's a great guy though, by the way. Super smart.
Yeah.
Dude. A lot of respect for him.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Tune into NACL this week. You'll see Conviction back on in there and Boc along with them. At least his name popping up in the drafts. They got that finally, thanks to some feedback from Thin Uncle Phil. So shout out to coaches. Shout out to coaches everywhere. We will be back next week. So thank you all for tuning on in, and we will see you next time.